Did you know that only 7% of adults over 65 can successfully complete all 8 of the tasks I'm about to share with you? When researchers at the Stanford Longevity Center studied thousands of seniors, they discovered these 8 physical and mental abilities weren't just random skills. They were powerful indicators of exceptional aging that predicted an additional 12 to 15 years of independent living. I've spent the last 2 decades studying successful aging, and today I'm revealing the 8 rare abilities that separate ordinary aging from extraordinary living in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand and the specific steps to join this elite group of age-defying individuals, even if you've already noticed some decline. What if I told you that your chronological age is largely irrelevant to how you actually experience aging? The latest longevity research shows that biological age can differ from calendar age by up to 25 years, meaning a 75-year-old can have the body and mind of someone in their 50s. But here's what most people don't realize. The difference isn't determined by genetics nearly as much as we once thought. In fact, the habits and abilities I'm about to share account for up to 80% of how well you'll age. And with older adults now representing the fastest-growing segment of our population, understanding these 8 crucial markers has never been more urgent, both for yourself and for those you love. Can you stand up from a seated position without using your hands? The seemingly simple movement is actually a sophisticated full-body integration test that reveals more about your longevity than almost any other physical assessment. Research from the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found that adults over 65 who could perform this movement were 21% less likely to die within the next 7 years, compared to those who couldn't. What makes this so powerful is that it simultaneously tests lower body strength, core stability, balance, and proprioception, your body's awareness of its position in space. Aging typically diminishes these capabilities one by one, but exceptional agers maintain integration between these systems. Take my client Margaret, who at 78 was frustrated by needing her husband's help to get up from restaurant chairs and theater seats. We discovered her quad strength had diminished below the critical threshold needed for independent rising. After just 6 weeks of targeted exercises, wall sits starting at 10 seconds and gradually increasing, and simple squat progressions using a counter for support, she regained this ability. The psychological impact was profound. "I feel like I've reclaimed my independence," she told me. "I'm no longer anxious about going out to new places." To test yourself, sit in a standard heat chair with your feet flat on the floor. Cross your arms over your chest and attempt to stand completely up and sit back down without using your hands. Can you do it smoothly, without wobbling? If not, don't worry, this is one of the most responsive abilities to targeted exercise. Start with supported squats, holding onto a sturdy counter or railing, aiming for 10 repetitions twice daily. Gradually reduce your hand support until you can perform the movement independently. Without this ability, your risk of falls increases dramatically, and each fall can trigger a cascade of complications. With it, you maintain the freedom to navigate the world confidently, from rising from a park bench to getting out of a low car seat. Here's something that might surprise you. Your balance isn't primarily about your legs or inner ear. It's actually one of your brain's most complex computations. When researchers at the Oxford Institute for Aging used advanced brain imaging, they discovered that exceptional agers maintained robust neural connections between their cerebellum and frontal cortex that most people lose by their late 60s. The test is simple but revealing. Can you stand with one foot directly in front of the other, heel touching toe, for at least 10 seconds without holding on to anything? Only 28% of adults between 65 and 80 can maintain this position, what neurologists call the tandem stance, for the full duration. This ability doesn't just prevent falls, it's a window into how efficiently your brain is processing and integrating sensory information. Those who maintain this capacity typically preserve cognitive performance across multiple domains, including memory and executive function. John, a 72-year-old former accountant I worked with, noticed his balance declining after retirement when he no longer walked to and from his office each day. his tandem stance time had decreased to just 3 seconds. We implemented a progressive balance training program, starting with simple standing on one foot while brushing his teeth, then advancing to tandem walking along a hallway wall, and finally practicing without support. Within 2 months, his tandem stance exceeded 30 seconds, and he reported an unexpected benefit. His thinking felt sharper and more focused. Try this test yourself. Stand near something you can grab if needed. Place one foot directly in front of the other so your heel touches your toe, and time how long you can maintain the position without swaying or grabbing for support. Under 3 seconds indicates significant risk. 3 plus 9 seconds shows moderate impairment. 10 plus seconds puts you in that exceptional category. The beautiful thing about balance is how quickly it responds to training. Even spending 2 minutes twice daily practicing tandem standing near a counter can produce dramatic improvements in just weeks. Without solid balance, your world literally shrinks as you avoid activities that challenge your stability. With it, you maintain the confidence to explore the world freely. Did you know that the strength in your hands tells a remarkably accurate story about your overall health? Researchers at the Mayo Clinic found that grip strength is one of the most reliable biomarkers of aging, with stronger grips associated with lower mortality from all causes, including heart disease and cancer. What makes grip strength so special is that, unlike isolated fitness measures, it represents a complex integration of neural activation, muscle integrity, and connective tissue health throughout your entire upper body. In fact, a 25-year longitudinal study showed that maintaining grip strength was more strongly associated with longevity than blood pressure, cholesterol levels, or body mass index. I worked with Elaine, a 77-year-old artist who was devastated when her weakening hands made it increasingly difficult to paint. Medical tests showed no specific disease, just the typical age decline most people accept as inevitable. Through targeted hand-strengthening exercises, using therapy putty, handling small objects, and practicing specific pinch and grip movements, she not only regained enough strength to return to her art, but also improved her overall vigor and resilience. While professional measurement uses a dynamometer, you can assess yourself with a simple test. Can you open tight jars independently? Can you support your body weight momentarily with your hands when pushing up from a chair? If these actions have become challenging, targeted hand exercises can produce remarkable improvements. Try this. Squeeze a tennis ball as hard as you can for 5 seconds, then release. Repeat 10 times with each hand, twice daily. Also practice the finger fan, spreading your fingers as far apart as possible, holding for 3 seconds, then relaxing. These simple exercises stimulate not just muscle growth but neural activation patterns that maintain hand function. The implications extend far beyond opening jars. Declining grip strength often precedes broader physical deterioration by 3 to 5 years, giving you a valuable early warning system. Maintaining strong hands preserves your ability to perform countless daily activities independently, from carrying groceries to maintaining your hobbies and passions. Can you hold a coherent conversation while walking at your normal pace? This ability to perform cognitive and motor tasks simultaneously, what neurologists call dual task performance, is perhaps the most overlooked predictor of successful aging. A groundbreaking study from the Journal of Gerontology found that older adults who maintain this capacity had a 48% lower risk of dementia over the following decade. What makes this ability so revealing is that it tests how efficiently your brain allocates resources between different neural networks. Most people begin showing significant dual-act interference in their late 60s, and they either slow their walking considerably or their conversation becomes disjointed when trying to do both simultaneously. Robert, an 81-year-old professor emeritus I consulted with, noticed he had started stopping on the sidewalk whenever someone asked him a question. After assessment, we developed specific dual-task training exercises, initially simple ones like counting backward by 3s while walking, then progressing to more complex cognitive tasks while navigating obstacle courses. Within 3 months, his ability to maintain both functions simultaneously improved dramatically. You can test yourself with this simple assessment. Have someone time you walking a straight 10-foot path at your normal pace. Then have them time you again while you count backward from 100 by 7s, 100, 93, 86, etc. If your walking slows by more than 10% during the counting task, you're showing significant dual task interference. Improving this ability involves deliberately practicing combined activities. Try brushing your teeth while standing on one foot, or reciting a poem while walking up and down stairs. Like training a muscle, your brain's capacity for simultaneous processing grows stronger with specific challenge. Without dual tap capability, everyday activities like walking while talking on the phone become increasingly difficult, forcing you to isolate yourself or limit your activities. Preserving this ability means maintaining the cognitive flexibility to engage fully in social situations while moving through the world. If you've been finding this information valuable so far, hit the like button and comment "extraordinary" below so I know you're committed to extraordinary aging. How quickly can you walk when needed? Not running, just purposeful walking as if you're trying to catch a bus. The answer reveals more about your health trajectory than almost any standard medical test. Johns Hopkins researchers discovered that adults over 65 who can walk at speeds exceeding 3.5 feet per second, about 2.4 meters, show significantly lower rates of hospitalization, cognitive decline, and overall mortality. What makes walking speed so informative is that it integrates cardiovascular efficiency, musculoskeletal integrity, neural control, and even psychological factors like confidence and motivation. It's what scientists call a super biomarker, because it reflects total system function rather than isolated components. I worked with Harold, a 74-year-old who had accepted his increasingly slow pace as an inevitable part of aging. When we measured his comfortable walking speed, it was just 2.1 feet per second, well below the threshold associated with exceptional aging. Through a program combining stride length drills, core strengthening, and interval walking sessions, he increased his speed to 4 feet per second in just 4 months. The impact extended far beyond walking. His energy levels, cognitive sharpness, and social engagement all improved dramatically. You can easily test your walking speed. Mark out a 10-foot distance and time how long it takes to walk it at your normal, comfortable pace. Divide 10 by your time in seconds to calculate your feet per second speed. Below 2.5 ft/s indicates increased risk. 2.5 s 3.4 ft/s is typical aging. Above 3.5 ft/s puts you in the exceptional category. To improve your walking speed, focus on stride length and arm swing coordination. Practice power walking intervals where you consciously increase your pace for 30 seconds, followed by your normal pace for 1 minute. Even 10 minutes of this practice 3 times weekly can produce significant improvements. The difference between slow and rapid gait extends to every aspect of life. With slower walking comes a cascading loss of mobility independence, from missing appointments to avoiding activities that require keeping up with others. Maintaining a brisk walking pace preserves your ability to engage fully in life at your own choosing. Can you hear a new phone number and dial it correctly without writing it down? This tests your working memory, your brain's ability to temporarily hold and manipulate information, which declines for most people with age but remains remarkably preserved in exceptional agers. A revealing study from the Cognitive Neuroscience of Aging Laboratory found that older adults who maintained robust working memory capacity showed significantly slower rates of hippocampal atrophy and were 37% less likely to develop cognitive impairment over a 5-year period. What makes working memory so crucial is that it forms the foundation for almost all complex thinking, from following conversations to making decisions and solving problems. It's also one of the first cognitive systems to show decline, making it an early warning system for broader cognitive health. Bisha, a 68-year-old former executive, became concerned when she noticed herself increasingly relying on written notes for information she previously would have easily remembered. Testing confirmed her working memory had declined to remembering just 4 digits forward below the 6'7" typical of her age group. Through systematic training using structured digit span exercises, in-back tasks, and challenging mental math practices, she expanded her capacity to 7-digit digits in 3 months, exceeding even younger adult norms. Test yourself with this quick assessment. Have someone read you a string of random digits at a rate of 1 per second. Then try to repeat them back in order. Start with 5 digits and increase until you can no longer accurately repeat the sequence. Exceptional agers can typically manage 7 or more digits forward and 5 or more in reverse order. Improving working memory involves progressive challenge. Try mentally calculating tips at restaurants without paper, practicing memorizing short lists before shopping, or playing card games that require tracking multiple pieces of information. The key is consistency and gradually increasing difficulty. Without adequate working memory, everyday activities become increasingly frustrating as you lose track of conversations and need constant reminders. Maintaining this capacity preserves your mental agility and independence in countless daily situations. How long does it take you to recover emotionally from disappointments or setbacks? While not as easily measured as physical capabilities, psychological resilience emerges in longitudinal studies as one of the most powerful predictors of exceptional aging. The MacArthur study of successful aging found that seniors with high resilience scores experienced 43% fewer depressive episodes and showed markedly better physical health outcomes over time. What makes resilience so powerful is that it directly influences your physiological stress response. Highly resilient individuals show lower levels of stress hormones like cortisol and inflammatory markers like IL-6, which directly impact everything from immune function to cardiovascular health. I worked with Thomas, a 79-year-old who had become increasingly bitter and withdrawn after several health challenges. By implementing specific resilience-building practices, including structured reflection on past overcome adversities, gratitude journaling, and cognitive reframing exercises, he developed what psychologists call psychological flexibility. Within 6 months, not only had his outlook transformed, but his blood pressure decreased and sleep quality improved dramatically. While resilience isn't measured with a stopwatch, you can assess yours with a simple reflection. Think about your most recent disappointment. How long did it take before you could think about it without strong negative emotions? How quickly did you begin taking constructive action? Exceptional agers typically process emotional setbacks efficiently and pivot to solution-focused thinking within hours or days rather than weeks. Building resilience involves specific practices. Try the 3 good things exercise, writing down 3 positive experiences each day and reflecting on your role in creating them. Practice benefit finding by identifying potential growth opportunities and challenges. And build what psychologists call learned optimism by consciously challenging catastrophic thinking patterns. Without resilience, the inevitable losses and challenges of aging can trigger downward spirals of declining mental and physical health. With strong resilience, you maintain emotional equilibrium and continue finding meaning and joy even amid life's difficulties. If you're finding value in these insights about exceptional aging, please hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos on practical strategies to implement these principles. Do you regularly engage in meaningful social activities that connect you with others? The Harvard Study of Adult Development, the longest-running study on happiness and health, found that the quality of social relationships was the single strongest predictor of well-being in advanced age, outweighing the impact of wealth, genetics, or even specific health behaviors. What makes social connection so vital is that it influences nearly every biological system in your body. Seniors with strong social integration show enhanced immune function, lower inflammation levels, better cardiovascular regulation, and even more efficient gene expression related to longevity. Claire, a 76-year-old widow I worked with, had gradually withdrawn from social activities after her husband's death, believing it was too late to build new, meaningful connections. Through a structured social reintegration program, starting with scheduled regular contact with existing family members, then joining structured activities aligned with her interests, and finally developing the skills to initiate new connections, she created a robust social network that transformed not just her emotional state, but measurably improved her physical health markers. Assess your own social integration. Do you have regular, meaningful contact with at least 3 to 5 people weekly? Do you participate in at least one group activity monthly that involves face-to-face interaction? Exceptional agers typically maintain diverse social portfolios that include both deep one-on-one relationships and broader community connections. Enhancing social integration doesn't require becoming an extrovert. Start with scheduling regular check-ins with existing connections, then add one structured group activity aligned with your interests. Research shows even modest increases in meaningful social contact produce significant health benefits. Without adequate social connection, aging becomes not only lonelier but physically more dangerous, as isolation increases mortality risk, comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes daily. With strong social integration, you create a protective buffer against nearly every challenge aging presents. As we've explored these 8 markers of exceptional aging, you may have recognized areas where you're already thriving, and others that need attention. The revolutionary insight from current longevity research is that every single one of these capabilities responds to specific, targeted practice, regardless of your starting point or chronological age. Remember, the 7% of seniors who maintain all 8 of these abilities aren't genetic outliers or simply lucky. They are individuals who've either consciously or unconsciously incorporated the right activities to preserve these critical functions. And while starting earlier is always better, studies show remarkable improvements are possible even when beginning in your 70s or 80s. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary aging isn't about avoiding all health challenges. It's about building the physical, cognitive, and emotional reserves that allow you to bounce back stronger. Every exceptional ager I've worked with has faced setbacks, but they've developed the capacity to recover and adapt rather than decline. As the Japanese concept of ikigai teaches us, the secret to a long, fulfilling life isn't just adding years. It's maintaining the capabilities that allow you to pursue purpose and find joy in everyday experiences. These 8 markers aren't just predictors of longevity. They're the foundations of a life worth extending. I'd love to know which of these 8 abilities you feel strongest in, and which you'll be focusing on improving. Share your experience in the comments below, and if you found value in these insights, please subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based strategies for exceptional aging. Remember, your chronological age is just a number. Your functional age, measured by these 8 capabilities, is something you can actively influence every single day. Here's to joining that rare 7% who defy aging norms and continue thriving into their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond.